The reason I shoot in camera black and white is because I love the way it looks. I remember being a little boy on the living room floor watching those Saturday morning creature features, things like this over here, and I just love it. I love the look. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's reminiscing, trying to. I don't know what it is, but I love it, and I I think that's going to be my thing. I've shot a few in black and white. Started with the Rescue of Plastic Girl, which was it was a political performance art where me and Mike Conrad, the drummer from Johnny and the Pony, would play in front of a screen or behind a screen, depending on the venue, like an old silent film. And we would play in sync to the movie. And it was the most gut wrenching thing we did, I remember, because it was to play in time. If you're a musician, you can appreciate this, but to play in sync with the parts of the movie, cymbals would hit when the door would open or knocks, and the changing of the songs, all in sync. And it was a lot of fun, a lot of pressure, but we did love it. I originally shot that film with a Canon ZR60, I believe, tape based. Couldn't compete with the market, obviously. So I decided, how do I do that? And I made it look like a vintage film, a silent film. That's what I was after. So I XP Movie Maker in the ZR60, and took clips off the computer screen and put it together. And I remember playing one time in New York. A film school guy was there, and he saw us, and he came up to me after the show, and he said, "How did you get that look? What kind of filter did you use?" And I was like, "Filter? I didn't know what he was talking about, filter." And I was like, "Movie Maker." Um, I think that's when I realized that it's really not about the quality or equipment, it's the content, and which you hear again and again and again. And for me, that's how I like to work, quick, in and out. As a musician, I was the one take guy. I liked it. The first take was the best. If you really captured something, feel was much more important to me than the overall. Like, oh, we have to spend 10 hours to get the perfect guitar sound, the perfect drum sound. And my point was like, well, what if the song sucks? Who cares how good the guitar sounds? And in the beginning, they used to record with one microphone, mono. You know, those, Buddy Holly, and in the '50s and stuff. And it's like, well, you still listen to those songs; they're great. So getting back to the reason is like I think that too many people are caught up in the equipment part of it. I was. And then when I started getting into filmmaking, I was like, oh, well, I have to have this. And I did all the research, and I was a YouTube junkie, and I would, figure out how to do this. And I realized, well, I don't have the budget to do any of, I mean, And so I started just like, well, I started with a Canon T3i. And this is Refuse to Walk the Line, and you are in the Studio 7 cinema and sound portion. And this is where I do all the Foley for all my projects. Foley being the sound effects, named after the man Foley who designed it or invented it or came up with it. And I do the sound effects for the films all organically. Um, Analog tape machines, um, the console, uh, everything's done organically. I don't like to download sounds, and I like to create the sounds. Um, Much more fun. Takes a long time. But there's nothing like to sync up or have your film and some microphone setup and then have to add the walking, the pouring, the openings, all that stuff. It's a lot of fun, and I enjoy it, and that's the way it was done, and that's the way I do it. So I started with the Canon T3i, and I started shooting Sustainable Life um, with unlimited transformations, a sci-fi film. I figured, well, how do I do this? You have to. I think step one is to decide how do I make this film for no money. I think that's the struggle everybody has. I always have said, um, don't sit around and talk about or wait for the money or the funds and hope to make them, someday you'll be able to make the movie you want to make. Make the movie you can make right now. I think that's much more important is getting your stuff out there, getting the content out there. I mean, it's just a script on a page or an idea in your head sitting on a bar talking to somebody about it. Who cares? I have always said product is king. Um, I don't listen to criticism. My answer to that is, where's yours? Where's your book? Where's your movie? Where's your song? Where's your album? Where's your painting? Whatever it is, criticism from someone who just, I'm not interested. I don't want anybody's opinion. I don't care. Um, I don't know if that's because I'm older, but I don't know what that is, but that's how I do it. I don't sit around. I'm a one take guy in music. I like to get product out, and in my filmmaking, I've decided and finally have come to the realization I'm more like an Ed Wood. I'm more like, and I love it. I love to create content and get it out. I mean, I can do a scene for Sustainable Life. I'll get it out in 45 minutes. If I have the footage, if I have to shoot it, okay, it'll take me a day. Um, that's just how it is. Yes, I want good quality stuff that's watchable, but I'm not going to sit around and color grade, and I don't care. I shoot black and white in camera. Oh, why do you do that? Everybody says you don't have to do that. Just desaturate in post. It doesn't look the same, and everybody says it can't be. Yes, I've done the tests. It took me a long time of A being, but I noticed that that to get to film noir look vintage 50s 60s low budget film in camera. There's something about what Canon does. I've stacked it up with many other cameras, and it looks great. And I can't get it in post. Sure, if I sat there forever, and I'm sure I could, but why? I could see it on my monitor. I can see it on the stage. Gee, does that light work? Does that color work? Because it's very different. And plus, I don't have to worry about trying to compete with a Red or an Ari, shooting color cinema that immediately someone says, "Oh, that's not a real camera." So low budget, black and white, works. It's it's about the content, and I'm all about it. I mean, if you're one of these people who dive into things and want to make it, cinematic Hollywood, then this isn't the channel for you. I am about no budget, low budget, micro budget, get it out there, filmmaking. That's what this is about. And some of the things that I accomplished doing that was like, well, I whittled down the locations. I whittled down actors. Sustainable life, there is none. There's me. There's my family. Characters or, mannequins that I pipe in, audio and jellyfish and text and audio and what they want to say and change the story. It's no money. The Rescue Plastic Girl, no money. Shooting roosters, it's a bigger production. You have a little bit of crew, you have professional actors. It runs into, but still no money compared to anyone else. But I'm talking right now that we are forced to take this break, I couldn't, we had to, hold location, hold shoot. Now that we're forced to take this break, we had to back off shooting roosters, which is, but what am I going to do? Sit here and. So I said, well, okay, I'll finish my really low budget sci fi Saturday morning creature feature, Sustainable Life. And it's beautiful. I love it. And so I decided, well, while I'm doing that, why don't I talk about it? Because I search every night for peers that share that same creative hunger and that don't have. And I would love to hear the stories of what someone else doesn't have. My equipment cinema rig is a Canon 80D with a small rig cage around it. I have a Lilyport monitor because I can't see anymore. I couldn't see, it couldn't focus. Um, of course, a Sigma 18 to 35, a decent tripod, which I would never buy again from this company, Manfrotto or whatever it is. What is it? Manfrotto. Never again. I'll tell you. We'll get into that. Why? Um, I have a decent shotgun. What is it? NT. This is the Rode. I love Rode products. NTG4 or whatever it is. But and these were the big purchases for me. The lens is the most. That was $700. That's the biggest thing. The Canon I got from Canon, the 80D refurb. I paid $700 for it. Lilyport. I got one decent light, newer light. I think was $60. I have the H6 zoom. I can't express more about zoom products only because not only, but a strong case in point is they sound great and the customer service is. I had a problem once. I called and in one ring somebody answered the phone in Connecticut. They just told me how to. I mean, you can't get that anywhere else. Zoom products are designed for musicians and film creators that want to be pro but can't. Um, so I have a little bit of a little bit of equipment. Probably all tail $3,000 of stuff. But I started with a T3i and a 50 millimeter. That's all you need done. The problem is I had to get the Canon 80D because the autofocus. I'm being an actor and working a lot in television. You audition now from your house. You do a lot of. I needed this, the face recognition. I have to record all my auditions mostly on site at home, and then you ship them in. And I can't. It was doing so much of the have to put a dummy here. I have lots of dummies, mannequins, and I would set them in, and that's how I would do it. But it wouldn't be in focus. It was a nightmare. So I was like, I needed to be able to do this, to do an audition quickly, set the camera up, because that's how all these things are for the shows that I was doing, all the reenactment shows on Discovery ID. You have your script. Sometimes it'll come over and say, we need this tomorrow. So I would set my camera and I got to read a script and I can't worry about, oh geez, it's not in focus, got to do it again. You got to take a quick cut. You got to go in. You got to slap it together. You got to send it. And that's why I had to upgrade to the Canon 80D to trust the autofocus. Plus, I can't see anymore, so it was. I need it. I mean, I see the T3i. I do have it on autofocus, and it seems to be following my face, but it's not dual pixel. So that was that, and that was the reason I stepped up. I was shooting Sustainable Life on that T3i. What is there right at the moment? 5 episodes. I would say most of it. The fifth episode was ADD and a little bit of 4, but the rest of it was all T3i. And the way I got the look is I like that I have extremely dark. It's extremely dark picture. I like that look, and you shoot a bright light onto like a face. It's a film noir type of look, and your ISO is at 100, 200 max. So you have a bright light, and it gives you that creepy look. That's that super contrast. The settings on the camera, I shoot in monochrome profile setting. I take the sharpness all the way down, and I take the contrast all the way up. I love it. High contrast. You don't want a gray film. You want black and white. So that's the first thing you do. I also put a yellow filter on it in camera. Sometimes orange, but I feel that the yellow has been working for me, especially for faces. You can play around and do other things, but if I want to see if I'm outside and it's daylight and you want the clouds to be really pungent, then you can play around and throw an orange or even a blue or green, whatever you got. But the Canon comes with, I use the monochrome profile, yellow, contrast all the way up, sharpness all the way down, 18 to 35. Do you need it? It's a nice lens, which I'm sure you already know. But believe it or not, the T3i with a 50 millimeter 1.8 that costs $100, $120, that you can get away with. Is it a pain? Yes, it's a pain because of the camera's way over here. I mean, the T3i is, and this is all it has. Where I'm sitting on top of you with the 18 to 35. I tried. A friend of mine gave me to try out the what is it, the 28 millimeter Canon. Yeah, it wasn't the same. Once you get used to the 50, the sharpness of it, it's class A glass for no money. And who cares if you break one? So that's really what you need. You need at least that 50 millimeter if you're going Canon, by the way. And probably you want to get, I think the T6s, T5s maybe have the dual pixel. I'm not sure when that came out. I know it wasn't T3. I think I just missed it. Like it doesn't work with STM lenses or anything. But they're cheap. You get them for nothing. Um, but I would take the 80D. I mean, I wouldn't mess around. I would get the 80D and get it cheap, used. And it's, if you want to shoot nice, dependable, it's a dependable camera. It's so far very solid for me. Um, it's a nice picture. It's slightly better than the Rebel series. It's not like, oh my God, hands down difference. But I on Roosters we use the 80D, a GH5, and the Mark IV. And I tell you what, the images that come out of the 80D are, there. I mean, I don't want to, you know, I'm biased to say I like it better, but I'm saying for shooting in camera black and white now, this is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about 4K and all the other stuff. In camera black and white profile with this setting on a Canon 80D with that 50 millimeter 1.8 or the Sigma 18 to 35 is gorgeous. And you take it, and I use, what do I call it? What is it called? Power Director. That's what I use. I've had Adobe, and I was like, it was so big and so much. I was so used to doing, I do very quick stuff. I don't care about transitions and all this special texts and effects and After Effects. I don't care. I'm selling you a story. I'm selling you this. This is what I want. And that's all I'm interested in. Entertainment, Saturday morning, creature feature, B, C movies, black and white, simple text. That's all I need. So I've been using Power Director, and I got so used to it that when I try to go, I have DaVinci sitting there that I will evolve to. I had Adobe Premiere. It was too big. I couldn't just do simple things for me. I was like, wait a minute, where is this? Now, I'm sure if I took the time, I don't want to take the time. Like I said, I like to shoot and deliver product to, the channels to try to, I like instant gratification. I don't want to sit around. I'm not into it. And that's not who I am. That's not who my audience is. And, audience, what audience? But I got so tired of searching and searching and searching for someone like me. I just searched Canon 80Ds to see. And yeah, I figured, well, let me just do my own thing. Maybe there's somebody else out there that is searching for this. And black and white, low budget, how do you do it with no money? This is how you do it. You get a basic setup. The reason I keep pushing the Canon is because I've had the Sony, I don't know what it was, 5100. Nice image, very clean. It's a higher bit rate, so it's a little bit sharper with a nice piece of glass on it. But I didn't like the camera at all, and it overheated after 5 minutes. And I mean, you know all the issues with it. And there's the in camera, I had to edit it. I don't want to edit it. I don't want to have to turn it into this and that and the other thing and adjust contrast. I don't want to. I know when I shoot this in the Canon profile, monochrome, tacked contrast with a yellow filter, it is exactly what I want the picture to look like. When I put it on a screen, man, that's what I want. It looks like glass. It looks like black and white, black velvet and white shirt. You understand you know what I mean? It's not gray. It's, wow. It's not digitally altered or anything. That's camera out in what I put up. And it took me a while to, even with Sustainable Life, I would shoot some in color, and oh well, they told me you can't do that, so I started shooting in color, and then I would desaturate it, and it's there. I can see the difference of the desaturated versus the in cam, and that's just I. This is what I'm going to do going forward. I'm going to finish Sustainable Life, um, the series, and turn it into a feature. I'm just going to put all the episodes together and send it out to the festivals, and just to keep going. I mean, we're in this situation which we don't need to talk about, so you have to find something to get through the day, and this is how I'm doing it. This is Brian Vadum, and thanks for tuning in to Refuse to Walk the Line. And subscribe, and I'll see you soon.